Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you ignored all the warning signs? Have you ever believed in a love so pure, only to find out it was all a lie? Well, I did, and this is my story. The story of how I fell in love with a man who was never mine to love. I met Ryan in the most cliche way possible, at a bookstore. We both reached for the same book, and just like that, we started talking. He had this easy charm, this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We exchanged numbers, and from that moment on, my world revolved around him. Our first date was magical. He took me to this little Italian restaurant, the kind with dim lighting and soft music playing in the background. He listened, really listened, to everything I said. We talked about our dreams, our childhoods, and our fears. That night, I remember thinking, this is it. This is the love I've been waiting for. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and with every moment I fell deeper. We had late night calls that lasted for hours, spontaneous road trips, and stolen kisses in the rain. He made me feel safe, cherished, loved, or so I thought. But love can be blind. Looking back, the signs were there. I just refused to see them. Ryan never let me visit his apartment. He always had an excuse. Oh, it's messy, or I'm barely home anyway. He was always so secretive about his phone, never leaving it out for too long. He was affectionate, but only in private. He never posted me on social media, never introduced me to his family. And yet, I convinced myself that maybe he was just different. Maybe he just loved in his own way. Then the late cancellation started. Work is crazy, he'd say. I'll make it up to you, I promise. And I believed him every single time. But the hardest part? The way he looked at me, with so much love, so much warmth. How do you fake something like that? The truth came crashing down on me one evening. Ryan had left his phone on the table while he went to the bathroom. It wasn't something he normally did. His phone was always glued to him. But that night, it buzzed. And I don't know why, but something in me told me to look. One message changed everything. Babe, the kids are asleep. Call me when you can. My hands trembled as I scrolled through his messages. There she was, a woman, his wife, and two little boys. Pictures of a life I was never a part of, a life I was never meant to be in. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight, my stomach twisted. It was like someone had punched me, like the air had been sucked out of the room. Everything we had, every I love you, every promise, it was all a lie. Ryan walked back into the room and saw me holding his phone. His face went pale. I looked at him, tears in my eyes, and whispered, "Who is she?" He sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and just said, "I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how." That was it. No apology, no remorse, just an admission that he had been lying to me from the very beginning. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hate him, but all I felt was empty. I asked him why. Why lie? Why build a life with me when he already had one? He just stared at me, silent. And in that moment, I realized he never had an answer because there was no justification for what he did. I walked out that night and never looked back. The days that followed were dark. I cried until I had no more tears left. I replayed every moment, every conversation, trying to figure out how I had been so blind. I blamed myself. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? But then, one day, I woke up and realized something. It wasn't me. It was never me. He was the one who chose to betray. He was the one who lied, and I refused to carry the weight of his choices. So I healed. I picked up the broken pieces of myself And slowly, piece by piece, I put myself back together. Loving a cheater doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. We love with our whole hearts. We trust with everything we have. And sometimes we love the wrong people. But that doesn't mean we stop loving. It means we learn, we grow, and most importantly, we choose ourselves. So, if you've ever been where I was, if you've ever loved someone who didn't deserve you, let them go. Love should never come at the cost of your peace. One day you'll love again, and this time it will be real.